Good morning. I think I got this switched to the right thing. I wish computers could remember our settings, right? Wow, that's a novel thought. Anyway, I hope you're having a good morning. I hope you're having a good week, a good month, a good life, a good everything. And you know what? Because we know that we're living them in the palm of God's hand and in focus of his eyes, we know we can have a good day anyway, no matter what, right? I'm sorry I'm a little bit late this morning. Just Chris didn't wake up till like a minute till 8, so I had to take care of him. So I apologize for being a little bit late, but I only have about two or three of you that watch me live anyway, so most of you catch me later, so that's okay too. I'm glad you catch me at all, right? I'm glad. Matter of fact, let me just say that we're coming up on our 3-year anniversary of when we started devotionalversary. Is that the right word? Devotionalversary. And I'm just so thankful. I know that if I miss, I'm gonna get some text that say, "You okay? Is Chris okay? Everything all right?" And that means a lot to me because and it also means if I die in the night, you're gonna notice. You'll notice that I'm not here, right? So that's a good thing too, right? But I just appreciate those who watch. I've got several of you who watch just faithfully every day, and then I got a whole bunch of others that come in and out. They'll be here for a day or two, then they're gone, and that's okay too. Because I've always I decided early on in my teaching of the word that if I'm doing something and there's only one person here, then that's the person that needed to hear it. So I've always just let God take care of that. I've never worried about if I had a crowd of 1 million, which I've never had, of course, maybe 100, you know. And so I've spoken at different venues, and I'm like, I don't care if only one person is there. And sometimes if nobody's there, that's okay too, because then I hear the word and it goes into my heart, and it just solidifies itself as just part of me, right? So God will watch over His word, so we don't have to worry about it. But I don't want to talk about that. What I want to talk about is just after I got off of the devotionals yesterday morning, I started really thinking about waiting on God. And I began to think about, and so I thought about, the scripture in Isaiah, because we read the scripture in Isaiah 30 about God's waiting on us, and we need our need to wait on Him. So then, of course, I thought of the one in Isaiah 40, 39, 40. I have to go look which number that is. 40, I think. Anyway, and it says, 40. Wait, when we wait on the Lord, that will He gives us strength. He can, he those who wait on the Lord will renew their strength. They'll mount up with wings like eagles. And did you know there was an eagle here yesterday, right over Hefner? Channel 4 caught an eagle on their helicopter yesterday, flying around Hefner looking for brunch or breakfast, I guess. But it says they'll mount up with wings like eagles, and they'll soar over the problems. They'll soar over the situations that are trying to bring them down. But God will give you strength when you wait on Him. Then I went to Psalm 27. 14. I was actually singing this, poor Chris, as I was getting Chris around yesterday, because like I said, in the 70s, we sang scriptures. Well, actually, this one really, I learned in the 90s, I guess. But it says, "Wait on the Lord and be of good courage. He will strengthen your heart. Wait, I say, on the Lord." So I'm assuming this is David. Let me look real quick. Yes, David. So David's going, wait on the Lord. He's got you. Wait on Him. So I've been singing that because I've got this big decision I've got to make. And instead of letting it get me bothered, instead of letting it get me all stressed out, instead of letting it get me all worried and wringing my hands and I don't know what I'm going to do, yesterday afternoon, I was meditating on the scripture and I just went, you know what, God? I'm just going to wait on you. I'm going to wait for your direction, because if I ask for wisdom, He's going to give it, right? And so I'm like, I'm just going to wait for you. And when I get a clear direction from you, then I'll act on it. And so then I started thinking, and I'm like, what? There's no worry. I don't have to do anything right this second. I don't have to do anything until I know what to do, because and that means I'm going to stay in constant communion with God. That doesn't mean I'm not ever going to ask Him again. Today I'm still going to be like, okay, God, I don't know what to do, so just give me some direction, and I'm going to follow you. But I put it in His hands and just wait. Now, see, that's the hard part. That's the hard part. Just putting it in His hands, right? And saying, "Okay, God, I'm just going to wait for your direction," because what I won't put it on anybody else, tend to do is I put it in His hands and then I take it back and go, "Okay, wait, let me just do this one little thing. Okay, here, okay, now I'll just wait on you. Okay, wait." And so as I was thinking about that, I just thought about Abraham, and how Abraham learned his lesson. Because see, when God promised Isaac to Abraham, Abraham got ahead of God. He didn't wait on God. He and Sarah said, okay, or Sarah said, okay, God's obviously, God made a promise, but he hasn't done it, so let's just make it ourselves. And they made an Ishmael, and the seed of Ishmael is still bothering us today. And I won't go into all of who that became or anything, but the thing is, they didn't wait on God. And then of course God still did his promise. God didn't go, well, you didn't wait on me, so just forget it. I'll just act like I never even made you a promise. No, God still fulfilled his promise to Abraham. And Sarah still conceived when it was way past the natural means to do so. It was still, God still gave them a miracle, but they had all this other stuff to deal with, right? In the middle of the miracle. They could have just enjoyed the miracle, but they had to take care of all these other things that they caused trying to make their own miracle, right? Because they didn't wait on God. And, it's hard because they waited years. God promised, and I can't remember how many years it was right this second, but God promised them that. And then they waited years to see it. And that little window of time is the hardest part because you want to see it happen and you know God promised it, but you don't see it yet. That little window of time is the hardest part. But if you wait in that window, you'll get the promise and it'll turn out a whole lot better. So they didn't wait. They eventually God still fulfilled his promise to them, but they didn't wait perfectly. But then later we have a story of Abraham, and let me mark. Oh, here we go. And later God tells Abraham, offer Isaac on the altar, and Abraham acted on it immediately. He said, we're going to go worship. Now he told the guys at the bottom of the mountain, he said, we're going to go worship and we will return. And so in Hebrews 4, let's see, it says 17, by faith Abraham, when he was tested, not tempted, God does not tempt us, but he does test us. He offered up Isaac. He who received the promises offered up his only begotten son, of whom it was said, in Isaac your seed will be called. And he concluded that God was able to raise him up even from the dead, from which he also received him, in a figurative sense. So basically what that's saying is Abraham said, okay, God, I'm just going to obey you. Back then I didn't obey you. And I got the whole world, literally got the whole world in a mess by not waiting on God. And now God says, give me your son Isaac. Well, when Abraham laid Isaac on that altar, he was laying the seed, he was laying the promise, he was laying the vision, he was laying everything God said on that altar. But he waited on God this time. He said his thought was, I don't know how God's going to do it, but he's going to have to raise him if he raises him from the dead, that's fine, but I'm going to wait on God for the answer. I'm not going to make it happen myself. And so I'm thinking that over these 14, 15, 20 years, however long this was, Abraham learned, just obey God. Just take him at his word and just trust him and just wait on him, because he will bring it to pass. And so of course we know that the sacrifice of Isaac was a parallel, or a living parable of, and a living analogy of what God was going to do in giving his son to die. Isaac didn't die. And God said, oh, whoa, whoa, we got it. And here, I'm going to give you a ram. I'm going to provide the sacrifice. And that was prophetic because he was going to provide Jesus for us, right? And so everything Abraham did gives us a picture of what happens when we don't wait on God and when we do wait on God. And so I'm thinking over those years, he figured it out. And, waiting on God is a hard thing to do and we don't like to wait on anything, especially here in the States. And I know I have some viewership from some other nations, but most of it are here from the U.S. and we don't want to wait on anything. We don't, matter of fact, yesterday, I was after Chris's therapy yesterday. I was going to go get my prescription at CVS. There was a long line, but I did have ice cream, so I did have an excuse for not waiting because she had given him ice cream. So I did have ice cream in the van, but there was like 5 cars, and I was like, I'll just come get it another day. I am not. And I drove around and came on back home. I didn't want to wait. We don't want to wait for 20 cars in the CVS window, right? We don't want to wait at a red light. A lot of people run red lights, and I always almost stop at green lights anymore because people are crazy. We don't want to wait that whole minute and a half for that light to turn green again. We don't want to to wait for our food. We don't want to wait. We have a hard time waiting. Especially those of us from the 70s, we didn't have the conveniences until the end of the 70s, but once we got them, we want them, baby. We want our food now. We want our money now. We have Cash App. We can send instant cash now. I don't want to wait on commercials to watch my show. Even this morning, I hit the button and I'm like, this is 2023. Why is my computer not just popping up here? This is 2023. Come on. And so I don't want to wait on it to come up. It should just come on when I touch that button, right? And the camera, I have to wait for it to fire up. And I was like, this is 2023. I shouldn't be waiting on anything. And so we have that mentality, right? There's no waiting, and we lose the power of waiting, because when we wait on God, we are fully trusting Him. And that's when we can let His peace reign, right? So I challenge you today, whatever you're praying about, whatever your biggest concern is, put it in God's hand and just wait on Him. He'll paint the perfect picture. And if you get ahead of Him, the picture will be skewed to one side, or it'll be out of balance. It'll be the wrong colors, right? So I just challenge you today, whatever it is is your biggest challenge today, just put it in His hands. Tell Him, God, I'm just giving this to you because I don't know what to do. And I'm just going to wait on you. And that's where that peace comes, that peace that you don't really understand. And waiting on God will bring that peace, because you're trusting Him with something you can't see, but you feel, right? So wait on Him today. Trust Him. He's got you. You can peace out. So peace out, and I'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day.